wide. I look like a wide-bodied man.
Why? Why do you? Do you think that?
It's just loose. It's all loosey-goosey.
Well, yeah, but
comfy.
what form-fitting hoodies do you?
Dude, I'm sponsored by Under Armour. Under Armour.
Well, in that case, hello everyone, and welcome to episode 16 of Prompt and Circumstance. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, creative mastermind, and inventor of the hottest new home delivery subscription service, Truck Stop Shitter Shakes, CJ.
Urinal, stalls, walls, and balls. We bring the flavor of the road straight to your blender.
We are two rapidly aging millennials who can bullshit with the best of them, so we decided to challenge ourselves and blindly explore 3 new topics each week to keep our chops honed and razor sharp. Here's what Prompt and Circumstance is all about. Number 1, this podcast draws inspiration from the exceedingly entertaining and endlessly creative Writing Prompts subreddit. Normally, each week... Oops.
This is normally.
Each week, we choose 3 prompts from the sub and talk them through for about 5 minutes apiece, or at least until we get tired of it. Number 2, credit will always be given to the original poster. Always. Number 3, we do not read the comments on any post prior to recording these episodes. This helps avoid any inadvertent plagiarism or idea theft. However, if you detect any similarities to something you submitted to the sub, please let us know. We'll happily credit you on the next recorded episode. So thank you in advance for listening. You're hearing the culmination of combined 5 decades of failed creative endeavors. So here's to breaking the cycle. Man, wow.
You got you all goofed up.
You got me goofed up big time, dude. So if you're listening, you may notice my voice sounds a little strained. And if you're watching, my face looks like hot dog shit because I've just spent the last 10 minutes crying and laughing uncontrollably. And I'm not gonna go into why, but CJ, he killed me good, killed me hard, and it was fantastic. So I apologize if there's any.
It's all right. We're just having a silly goose time.
We got the old. It's midnight. We got the old 12:18 ha-has. To quote my dear friend Joe, who will be a guest on this show soon, by the way.
And that's right. Now everybody knows when we record.
Yes, we record in the dark of night.
I have never seen the sunlight.
Never, not once.
No, I'm kept in the basement.
Yeah,
normally.
I mean, I guess you live
here,
quote unquote. Yeah. I mean, you can't really call it that. It's not anywhere near like human existence. I mean, really, it's terrible, dude. But in any case, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Unless, CJ, do you have anything you wanted to go over, discuss?
We're good to go.
Right,
prompt number 1.
Prompt number 1. Well, yeah, enough of the bullshit. Let's get started with prompt number 1. You're exactly right. And this prompt is brought to us by SadFishyInBowl. And the prompt is, after dying peacefully in sleep, a text appeared. You have completed the game of life on easy mode. Would you like to retry in another difficulty level? You decided to pick nightmare mode. We have our loose 5 minutes on the clock, and our time starts now.
So, I'm sure a lot of people listening would agree. If this is easy mode, what I'm currently living, what in dear God is nightmare mode?
Oof, 100.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I
don't want to complain, but there's a lot of days where you're like, how can this get any worse?
You are 100%. 100% correct. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt you there. But like, yeah, there are definitely days where you finish either work or even if you're not at work, you kind of get to that point in the day when you're winding down and you're just like, what the fuck else? What is going to happen?
Yeah.
You know, like what is my life right now? You know? I mean, I could imagine just knowing what you do, you know, during your normal work day. There's probably a number of
give that tenfold. Again, though, I'm sitting here reading the prompt again. So we're going through. Jesus, are we reliving the same life? Like, this is a question I constantly ask with the prompts that we pick.
I'm gonna say no.
So you're living a brand. Now, do you come back as a?
Well, if this is, I mean, we're living an open world RPG, right? That's what we're living right now. And for those who don't know, RPG is a role-playing game. So a lot of video games now are classified as open world RPGs or mass multiplayer RPGs, where you are essentially, the games have gotten so good and the writing has gotten so good and the graphics have gotten so good, you can allow yourself to become absorbed in these RPG games as if you were living real life. Like, I know there are a whole sect of people, myself included, that make the same types of moral decisions that they would in real life in games, and then other people take the opposite tack and they take that opportunity to do the opposite of what they would do in real life. So
gotcha.
If you're
so they're living out in a game world where there really aren't, there's no real world consequences,
right?
Decisions that they would never make in their actual life,
right? So if this situation now is applying to real life and we've been living in easy mode is what I would interpret as normal, run-of-the-mill, pretty much accounted for struggles. Like, for the most part, everyone is going to have some kind of financial burden at some point that's expected. Gotcha. At some point, you're going to experience some kind of injury or illness that's relatively expected. And if you meet those qualifications, if you meet those qualifications throughout the course of your life, and of course there are obvious outliers. There are people who just really get the shit end of the stick. But in the context of this prompt, you've had easy mode, so you've had
gotcha.
Normal obstacles to overcome.
Are you looking at this like your easy mode life, where you were a lawful good, and now in nightmare mode you're a chaotic evil? Like, are you making choices in this? Is that what the difference is?
I think
you're not faced with any hardship. Like, what I was originally thinking is, are you faced with more hardships, or is nightmare mode where you're the truest evil of your own being that you could be? Because I know you were referencing the MMORPG.
Yeah, and that's an interesting perspective. It's not really the direction I was going, but that doesn't mean it doesn't merit taking in that direction, because it really depends on what we're considering the definition or the context of a nightmare. And I think that's an interesting way to go. Like, is this nightmare mode not necessarily in difficulty, but in
because that's
environment?
what I originally think of. Like, is just every day the worst day of work. It's constantly raining. Your commute takes 2 hours longer. Like, I think that's too easy.
Sure.
You know what I mean? To call nightmare mode.
Yeah,
because like,
that's a right now concept of nightmare. If we're thinking like, oh my God, this day is a nightmare, it's just because it's been sometimes marginally more difficult.
That's our frame of reference.
Right.
Is like the worst day I had in a while.
Yeah.
But nightmare mode has to be leagues beyond that.
And it doesn't necessarily, that's a good way of thinking about it. It doesn't necessarily have to be more difficult, but maybe it's evil or morally. There's a moral imbalance, and that's the center of its core as nightmare mode. Gotcha. Am I interpreting what you're saying correctly?
Yeah, no. And is that what you're going with, the moral imbalance? Is that everybody around you as well, or just you? And you have to deal with the fact that you used to be good. You were good on easy mode.
Yeah.
And now you find yourself making these choices, and you're like, wait, why did I do that? And you have to deal with the morality of it,
And that could be part of the nightmare, because if you're like
you're making decisions that you thought were conscious, and then you come to and realize what you've done.
Yeah, because that might be...
That's a nightmare.
Yeah, that might be where the nightmare comes in, is realizing that you don't have the free will you thought you had, and you're powerless to... like the pull of the gravity of these evil decisions, and you're forced into this hellish, dreamscape of just the exact opposite of what you would actually do in every situation.
Like, it's like a lucid dream where you go ahead, make any decision. Who cares? Nightmare mode.
Right.
But then you wake up and have to deal with the consequences of the decisions you thought were fake.
That is a nightmare.
Ooh.
That is a nightmare. The other direction I was going to go with this was nightmare mode would amplify the potential consequences of real life in easy mode. So for example, if you in easy mode, you don't pay your taxes 1 year. Let's say you owed $700. You just don't pay. Odds are nothing at all is going to happen. Yeah, no one is going to give a single shit. And that's true, because in like 2011, I just forgot to pay my taxes. And
they're going to get you on that now.
I've never gotten so much as a letter saying, hey, where's this $583 that you owe us? In any case, I'm not condoning that, but my point is, in nightmare mode, if you don't pay your taxes, if you don't file 3 months ahead of time, using the IRS system, you can't even use TurboTax. Like, if you don't play exactly by the federal government rules, immediate prison. Like, the consequences are just amplified. So like, and really, I'm thinking of this. And have you ever played Dark Souls?
No.
So it's the hardest fucking game in the world. Like, it is just insanely hard. Like,
I've never experienced it myself, but I have heard.
Yeah,
that.
There's like the gigantic internet lore surrounding how difficult Dark Souls is.
It's a compass for other games to
very much so.
Oh, this is.
I still haven't gotten through it. Like, I've played Dark Souls 1, didn't finish it, played Dark Souls 2, didn't even come fucking close to finishing it. And it's frustrating in that way. And if you make, like, it's just like any video game, when you're fighting an enemy or a boss, it's a series of like increasingly complex patterns. And if you make one misstep, you're done. And instead
so you're saying apply that to your regular life.
Yeah. So if you make even one slightly incorrect decision, or don't play exactly by the rules, or don't subscribe to the pattern that's been laid out ahead of you, you get knocked back a certain number of steps. Like in Dark Souls, you die and go back to your last save point, no matter how far back that is.
I mean, with everything that we've talked to, like, imagine now that we've thought about this, like, when we eventually do go in our sleep, as this says, it's like, would you like to try another difficulty? No, I'm good. Just end it.
No.
Unplug it.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah.
I'm done.
That's the thing. It's never worth it.
That's what I'm saying. If this is easy mode and we're still we have our daily struggles, our daily frustrations, no.
Why would you want to play life on anything but easy mode?
Who says yes?
Yeah,
what kind of maniac says yes?
Yeah, if that's my final statement. If you want to play life on nightmare mode, you deserve every fucking shitty thing that happens in the course of those events.
Good luck.
Yeah, exactly. And fuck you. We're going to take a short break. You will hear some words from our new sponsor, and we will be right back with prompt number 2. Well, CJ, the winter's finally coming to a close, withdrawing its icy, dry fingers from the Northeast collective anus, and you know what that means. It's time to leave the crypt-like prisons we call our homes and get outside, in the sun, like real people. And what better way to do that than to go on vacation? All I have to do is spend 9 hours scouring the internet for plane tickets, watching the price go up each time I hit refresh until I finally agree to take the loss and spend $300 more than I budgeted for seats directly in front of the bathroom. Then I can do the same thing, but with hotels. Then I can do it again, but with excursions and tours and activities.
Sorry, everyone. That was the sound of Joe's brain exploding and leaking out of his ears. Really, all you have to do is call Katie McQueen at the Travel Exchange. She helps busy people plan incredible vacations because, honestly, no one has the time or patience to put all this together on their own anymore. Without her help, you're just going to wind up in Ocean City, Maryland. Again. Katie is a travel advisor and certified in special needs and accessibility travel. Whatever your needs may be, she makes sure to carefully plan every aspect of your trip with utmost care and attention to detail. And best of all, for this crazy amount of time and effort, there's almost never any charge or fee.
So if you're ready to get out and see the world, visit betterkatethannever.net or visit facebook.com/betterkatethannever for all the details and contact information you could possibly need. Again, that's betterkatethannever.net or facebook.com/betterkatethannever. As an added bonus, you'll be supporting a woman-owned, veteran-owned, and up-and-coming small business. So do the right thing, listeners. Visit betterkatethenever.net and get ready for your best vacation yet. What's the deal with B movie?
Dude, I saw a YouTube video that was the B movie, but every time they say the word B, the speed of the movie gets doubled.
Oh yeah, you showed
Did
me
I
that.
send it to
yeah,
you?
Yeah. We watched like the first 8 minutes of it.
Yeah, I watch it every night before bed.
All right, and we are back, fresh off the fiery path of prompt number 1, leading us directly to prompt number 2, and it's a doozy. I'm excited. I know you are, CJ. I can tell by the look in your eye that you are you are pumped and ready to go. And the prompt is brought to us by KnoobLord, and that's because you can't see what I'm seeing, that's KNOOB Lord, Lord. So the prompt is, it's a simple prompt, and you know if you've listened to us before our affinity for these, the prompt is, every time a human sneezes, they blurt out a random secret they wouldn't normally share.
Yikes.
Then we have our loose 5 minutes on the clock, and our time starts now.
In kindergarten, I pooped my pants, and I got sent to the nurse's office till my mom could bring me new ones. And then when I got back to class, everybody kind of cheered and hugged me like I had got back from a severe illness.
Like you returned from the hospital.
Yeah.
Oh man, dude, I would really be in some shit if this
Me too. I have horrible allergies.
and horrible secrets.
Yeah, well, that's about as bad as it
dude,
gets,
you have
man.
a dark, seedy past. Don't pretend like you don't, you know?
Lots of pooping in my pants.
Yeah, there's just probably a little too much poop. Not gonna lie. I mean, we've talked about it, and I've encouraged you to get help, but
It's not happening,
just not
man.
happening.
I'm my own worst enemy.
I would have a lot of embarrassing shit from my childhood also. So if like I sneezed one day, I might come out with, in 4th grade, I got off the bus and was walking, and to paint a little picture for you, the house where I grew up, you could look out the side of the house, like look, off the deck, and you could see and probably just throw a rock. And even though there was like woods there, you could throw a rock, navigate through the few trees that there were, and hit the bus stop. That's how close,
Gotcha.
the bus stop was to my house. And I got off the bus, had to pee, admittedly. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and say I didn't, but I couldn't make it the maybe 50 steps from my house to, from the bus stop to my house. So I'll never forget, dude, I had these gray sweatpants on, like light gray.
Yeah.
Too,
Did they become dark gray?
Bro. Dude, I pissed all over the front of my pants. Just a giant.
Wait, is the bus still there?
The bus pulled away.
Oh,
and,
so you didn't. This was just personal shame, not embarrassment.
It was personal shame, but the embarrassing part is coming. So,
but wait, there's more.
There's more. So I piss in my pants. I have 2 simultaneous streams, running down.
Oh, you split the middle and evenly down both legs. That's
split the middle. Like it's a fucking prize.
The prize is crippling embarrassment.
Give that boy a medal. He split the middle. So yeah, I split the middle, dude. I shame shuffle home, and then for God only knows what reason, my parents, when we first moved to Pennsylvania, the office for the business they worked for, they moved to PA to start like a new territory for this company, and we couldn't set up like an external office right away, so we had it in the basement of our house. And I lived in a split level, so when you first walk in the front, there were stairs up and stairs going down to the basement, and the basement was slightly above ground level, like part of it was. So there was these windows right at like the ground level that you could see down into the basement. And the reason I say that is because my dad's desk was right by the main basement window in the front of the house. So usually when I would come home from school, I would run to the window first and say hi to my dad. I would wave to him. And just like any other day, he turns around in his desk chair and looks out the window, and he sees me.
And here comes old drippy leg.
Well, dude, he gives me this big happy wave, and then I just point at my dick. Like, I point at my pants, and bro, the look of just sheer disappointment that immediately washed over his face was something that has haunted me ever since. And
so have you been replaying that face?
Yes.
In your mind?
Yeah, because dude,
you've seen it in your nightmares.
It was sheer joy of like, hey, it's my son, to then,
oh, it's my son.
Kid fucking split the middle. What a dick. So like that would, and dude, to think that whole fucking story I just told is the result of a sneeze, you know what I mean?
Oh, so you're sharing. Yeah, you're sharing that.
You got to tell the whole thing. You can't just be like, I pissed in 4th grade.
Yeah, everybody sit down.
Right.
Here's a doozy. I split the middle.
Dude, in preparation for this episode, or when we're promoting this, hashtag split the middle is going to be a very real thing.
We're going viral with it.
Tell us your story. Actually, quick pause. Please, if you're listening to this and you love this show and you want to keep listening, reach out and tell us your split the middle story, and we will feature you on the next episode.
Dude, that is great.
But yeah, man, there's a fuck ton of embarrassing stuff like that. Like, you know, I could sneeze and tell people about how I got way too high in Amsterdam, just like off the charts, uncomfortably, terrifyingly high, and because I'm embarrassed. You know, I tried to be the cool guy and smoke weed with the big guys.
And then you were very uncool and weird.
Yeah, and then I was vomiting for 3 hours and sweating.
In Amsterdam.
Wasn't right, dude. I wasn't right for a day.
Jesus.
What else you got in the reserves there?
No, I'm done sneezing and sharing these. We're going to take this on a different way.
Okay.
Because you know how there's... Yeah. I'm done. I don't have any more poop pants stories. You know how there's all like those conspiracy theories about how they already have a cure for cancer?
Yes.
All right. So do you think that there's conspiracy theories that all politicians, I've never seen them sneeze. Here's a video of an entire speech on a windy spring day. Why isn't the president sneezing?
There's pollen everywhere.
Yeah, right? So they have a pill that keeps you from sneezing, but they're not giving it to the general public. Like, imagine all the bad things that can come from this.
Oh, dude.
Even just, like, did they have to come up with a law? It's cruel and unusual to make someone sneeze to get through, like, a court case because you know you're going to get the truth. Is there protection against that?
Yeah, dude. I mean, do you have prosecutors or defense lawyers just taking a handful of black pepper?
That's what I was thinking, pepper.
Just blow. Tell the truth now, bitch.
But then, and you're holding your nose.
Yeah, you just have that sneeze face on. But there is a little bit of a dice roll factor because it's a random secret. There's no guarantee that you pepper them in court.
It could be the split the middle story in the middle of a courtroom on a murder trial.
Exactly. You got first degree murder, you know what I mean, and 10 counts of fucking money laundering and tax evasion to go with it, just to lock the guy up, and you pepper him right on cross examination. And he comes out with split the middle.
I did a pee-pee in my pants, and my dad was disappointed.
Yeah, and the lawyer, expecting that he was going to blurt out that he did it, is like, well, that seals it up.
Yeah, right? This court case is done.
What?
What did you just say?
You talking about pee? Is that...
Split the what?
Yeah, no, I mean, I see what you're saying, though. Because for people in power and prominent figures... they couldn't even take the risk. You know, they would still have to have the anti-sneeze pill and keep it from the masses because while Trump might not come out and divulge, he might sneeze and say something ridiculous. Exactly. That has no bearing on anything, but he might not. He might.
There is always that concern.
Exactly. So they have to keep him from sneezing anyway. but it just might not be as effective on the general public. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. So are companies like Allegra and Zyrtec the new Bentley?
Ooh, yeah.
Like they're super expensive because they're helping with allergies and all that?
Yeah, I mean, we won't get into how absurdly expensive pharmaceuticals are anyway for people that desperately need them, but in this particular case, what I would consider, designer drugs especially, like stuff that, only the rich and famous can afford, like stuff, people that can afford to take these pills to avoid the off chance that they might ruin their career with a random sneeze. Right. Yeah, I think it would be like you would have people referencing it in pop culture, and it would be a prominent.
Right.
That's a good point, because I mean, the pharmacy companies, upon realizing the
what
risk
they have
associated with this, with the sneezing situation. Now. Yes, absolutely. It's going to replace, they're not going to have to worry about charging a 400% markup on the EpiPen anymore. They won't need to.
Yeah.
There's going to be
the EpiPen for free. Yeah. We got this new stuff.
There are going to be plenty of people shelling out for that no sneeze pill. You know what I mean?
Ugh.
Yeah. That's an interesting concept, dude. That went shit. We almost did 9 minutes on that. It went a lot further than I thought it was going to.
Right, for a simple prompt, because I know we've had, discussing that before where we might not be able to get enough out of it.
Yeah.
But a lot did come from that.
Absolutely, man.
Corruption, pooping and peeing your pants.
Which were arguably the most important
right?
aspects of that conversation. I vote take a quick break, come back from prompt number 3, right?
I'm down.
All right, bro.
I don't want to share any more secrets.
Achoo! We'll be right back. All right, we took a much-needed breather, and we are back with prompt number 3. CJ, I really enjoyed number 2. I think it was...
Yeah, and we had to take a much-needed break to wash all the shame and disappointment off.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. Well, hey, we're going to move outward and onward here and wrap things up with prompt number 3. It's brought to us by Don't Feed the Gargoyle. Do not feed the gargoyle. And the prompt is, in the modern age, fairy dust can refer to 2 things. The dust fairies leave behind containing residual magic and DNA, or the name of the latest street drug. After a series of bizarre events involving the addicts, you suspect... not addicts like the top of your house, but you suspect that the 2 are the same thing. And we have our loose 5 minutes on the clock, and our time starts now.
So what is happening that you're watching addicts react in a different way? All of a sudden they're magical? Are they granting wishes?
Well, magic's a broad brush with which to paint, I mean, it certainly could be granting wishes.
I mean, maybe the creepy guy going, "Hey kid," actually was going to do something good.
Very well could be. I mean, well, did you ever, because I'm curious, I'm certainly not contradicting that. Did you ever have anybody offer you drugs? Because I never did.
Like it was painted when we were younger that everyone was going to be offering it.
Absolutely.
Where are the free drugs?
Yeah. And I know this is a big thing on the internet, and this is not an original thought by any means, but it is true.
Yes.
And I do want to support that meme, if you will, because there has never been a situation, even when I was older and
they were actually around.
Like rarely, if ever, did anyone offer me drugs at no cost?
Right?
Money was exchanged. You know what I mean? So that's bullshit, number 1. But after a series of bizarre events involving the addicts, I mean, are you observing them in their natural habitat? Are you hearing about this on them?
Am I studying them from afar?
Are you Jane Goodalling that shit?
There's a documentary on it. Here we see the crackhead.
David Attenborough narrates it. Yeah, I mean, I would assume the most likely is after a series of bizarre events. Do you remember when that what's that stuff called? Crackle or Crater Gator. It's that
Synthetic stuff?
I think it was
are
a
you talking
Russian.
about?
Yeah, it wasn't.
Oh God, the stuff that was like eating people's skin. Like
Yes,
their skin was
yeah.
falling. Like you just took it and then died.
Right.
Like you just decayed. It started the dying process as soon as you finished. Yeah, I remember that.
Are you hearing about this? Like in this, maybe not quite as negative,
Oh,
but
like
are you
there's
hearing
news
like there's
stories?
a news about it? You know, and what would be some of the bizarre events? Like what are some of what are some of the reactions people are having? Because it sounds like it might be individual. You know,
Yeah.
like everyone kind of experiences it in their own way.
Like on the local news tonight at 11. The story of 3 crackheads floating through the streets along West Side Boulevard.
Yeah, I mean, it's what are the limits of this drug?
Yeah, where are you hearing about it?
Yeah, local group of. I feel bad because I don't want to mock the homeless, but it's
Gotcha.
just the first thing that came to my head. You know, local band of homeless vagrants. Miraculously pulling dozens of roses out of their anuses. You know, like
That's the magic?
yeah. It's like shit
And then
like
what? Selling them on the corner
Yeah.
for money?
Well, and then they go to the median and sell them to cars at traffic
Ew,
lights.
that's where those come from?
Dude, they're ass roses. So that's so don't buy them.
Which smell did they take on, though? Is it of
Definitely
the
the
rose or is it of the ass?
Yeah, I mean, or they can magically go like, and produce instead of like money from their fingertips, they produce those crumpled up newspapers that they wash your windshield with.
Yeah, newspaper comes out of one and Windex comes out of the other.
It's like, oh man, that guy must be on fairy dust. He's
Yeah,
spraying
but-
Windex out of his dick and
but,
cleaning
like,
my glass.
Isn't that horrible that they have magical powers that are still keeping them homeless doing
Oh,
the same
yeah.
thing?
That is
They just didn't
depressing.
need to go get a newspaper. Here it is. I'm still homeless. You're still not paying me for this.
Yeah.
It's still degrading. So in my mind, the street game changes completely because you're going to have fairy dust dealers, and this is... You're not talking a 30-minute high. You're talking magical powers.
Right. And does it impart powers based on your current status? You know what I mean? So like for the homeless, unfortunately, the magic involved is producing elements of homelessness. And then
God.
if you're like a rich college kid, or like, frat guy or whatever, you know what I mean? You have the ability to uncontrollably shit natty ice, you know what I mean? Or whatever, like, pounders of Bush Light, whatever, you know what I mean? Like you take, you rip 2 lines of fairy dust and all of a sudden you've got...
Who wants a cold one, boys?
Yeah, you got 50 buffalo wings and a fucking 12-pack coming out of your ass.
So does that change the price of this fairy dust based on what you're getting?
I would think so. I would think the more you can
Right?
afford,
Like
the
the
more it's
dealers
gonna
are
cost.
coming off of the streets and onto college campuses where kids have expendable money.
Right. And it also mentions DNA, too. So are there physical side effects that you're contending with
Dust
as well?
fairies leave behind containing residual magic. And what could you get from DNA?
I mean, anything really, any type of mutation. You know what I
You
mean?
want to hit a Joe?
Like, let's say you're that same,
Do
that same horny college dude, and you're really like, you're like a boob guy. So you do a line of fairy dust, you smoke some fairy dust, and all of a sudden you wake up with tits the next morning. Like, hey, you liked them so much,
Jeez.
now
How
you-
long does this last?
I mean the initial high, it takes less than 30 seconds to ramp up.
Uh-huh.
It plateaus for 8 hours, and then the come down is a full 24.
Gotcha.
So
Sorry to hit you with all these questions. I just know you went to college studying this. I know
right,
your
exactly.
thesis
And
everything was
I've
on.
put my time in with
Gotcha.
fairy dust. So I've experienced the genetic mutations. I've experienced the magical powers, and these are all, if I'm being truthful, these are all just pretty much drawing from personal experience. So
Gotcha.
yeah, so I mean, you pop boobs in 30 seconds, you have them for 8 hours, then you shrink from full D back down to training bra over the course of the next day.
Now, is there also a tolerance to this?
I
like,
think-
do you gain tolerance and it stops working as well? You have to take more? Is it just like drugs? Like, is that how you become a fairy dust addict?
I would think so, yeah, because
You
let's
get
say
so hooked on all the things you can do with it.
Yeah, and if you're, if you then take the initiative to alter your life situation to produce the results you want, like let's say you realize, and not to keep hammering on the boob example, I just think it's a funny image in my head, but let's say that's not your desired outcome. You alter your life accordingly to produce a different set of results. And I think that's part of the addiction as well, is pushing the limits to see what you can produce. You know what I mean? So for certain people, it might be a good thing, for the homeless, for the less privileged, if they take fairy dust and let's say they have, at first it's kind of a wholly negative experience. They're shooting out paper towels and spraying Windex out of their nipples. You got ass roses. I mean, that's, but let's say they have one good, let's say they catch a lucky break. Okay. Somebody sees them on that median, handing shit out with a sign up, whatever. And it's like, you know what? I'm feeling generous today. Let me pop a hundo out the window here, or let me offer them a job. You know what I mean? I'll pay for you to get a haircut. We'll get you a shower. I'll put you up in a hotel for a week. Try this, try a job at my company and see how you do.
All right.
And then all of a sudden,
they drug test.
Yeah, but fairy dust is exempt because it has dynamic results. There's no test. There's no one test that can quantify
As long as you're a team player, you'll fit right in.
Exactly. So then their luck changes. Okay, now all of a sudden they're in a different socioeconomic status or threshold, and they go to take their normal hits of fairy dust, and all of a sudden now they're pissing out well-formatted resumes. You know what I mean? Like they're just, it mirrors
so they're evolving.
They're evolving. So that feeds the addiction. They're like, oh my God, if I grind harder and harder, what can I get out of this?
What happens when the fairy dust runs out? What happens when their dealer gets caught?
Ooh, yeah. Like what's the
Do they just
what's
slither
the
back
inevitable
into
crawl back to rock bottom? I don't know.
What if, as the end of the prompt goes, you suspect they're the same thing, and fairy dust, rather than being magical, is actually just crystal meth. And rather than having all of this success, newspapers shooting out of your fingertips, Windex spraying everywhere, you're just in an alleyway screaming at a garbage can, imagining all of this stuff.
I think that's more likely. Hey. And just like that, CJ puts his nice, neat bow on everything. Well, on that note, my friend, I think we got to wrap. I think that's I can't button it up any better than that. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry to keep doing that.
You're in an alley screaming at a garbage can. Oh, well, with that, we would like to thank you, as always, for listening. You can reach us on several convenient channels. We are on 3 forms of social media. Most importantly, we are on Instagram @PromptPod, Twitter @PromptPod, and forgetfully, we are on Facebook @PromptPod. So look us up on any of the 3. Again, we would like to extend a very sincere thank you to Katie McQueen with the Travel Exchange for sponsoring our show. She is our first real sponsor,
yes,
and it's
thank you very much.
super exciting. So we would like to plug her as much as possible. If you can, give her website a visit if you are at all interested in taking a vacation in the near future. She can accommodate your needs, whatever they might be. And again, her website is betterkatethannever.net. Or you can reach her on Facebook at facebook.com/betterkatethannever. CJ, did you have anything else you wanted to
That's
to
it,
offer
my
up?
friend.
Okay, perfect. You can see our videos on YouTube. We post and will be posting every episode from here forward. And at CJ's suggestion, we are going to bring retroactively our older episodes in an audio-only format to YouTube as well. So if YouTube is your primary method for listening to the show, and certainly nothing else, then you'll be able to see our entire catalog of content on there shortly. You can also visit our website, www.promptpodcast.com. You can see several podcast reviews of other shows that I will get around to updating at some point, and you can hear all of our episodes on there as well. You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. So we want to thank you again for listening. Thanks to Katie McQueen, and have a great rest of your week, everybody. We will see you next Monday for episode 17. Have a good one.
Bing, bang, boom!